How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good.
So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Although I just closed my questions. Give me a second. All right. So I always personally like to start with this question. At what age did you begin playing, and what led to you, or what inspired you to play football?
I was 13 when I first started playing football. Um, I only did it because everyone else was doing it. To be honest, um, all my buddies still good at football. They've been playing since 8 years old. I was like, hey, let me hop on the bandwagon. It looks pretty fun.
Makes sense. Man, you started pretty late in life. Most of these guys that are playing at the professional level are starting at like third grade, first grade, somewhere in that range. So to see you at this high of a level with such a short time playing football is pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Absolutely. When you were younger, did you play any other positions that were not in the secondary?
Um, Throughout high school, I actually played quarterback, receiver, defensive line, linebacker, tight end. I kind of moved around a lot.
Makes sense. So trying to find the spot where you fit best
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. Um, so I noticed you developed a nickname of Seven. Do I have that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because you obviously wore the number seven. Is this number something you have always worn, or is it something that came about later in life? And does it hold a special meaning to you?
Um, so the number seven, I got the number seven when I reached Texas-Wesleyan. I feel as if seven kind of was a new me. I got there, I kind of changed my life around. Um, Once I got seven, I stuck with seven. Everyone called me seven, and my brother, he actually was six, and he'd been six his whole life. I was like, hey, seven, we play on the same team, so why not? We both start corner, six and seven.
Cool, I like that. So you actually played with your brother on the same team? I did not catch that.
Yes, sir.
That's got to be awesome. How did you guys work together? I mean, did you push each other to be great?
He's actually my JUCO brother, so we played all 4 years together from JUCO to Texas Wesleyan. We ended up the plan was coming out of JUCO was to go to the same Division 1 school. We ended up getting the same offer, but they pulled it and we went our separate ways. He went to LA Tech. I went to University of Central Oklahoma, and we just ended up mashing it and getting back together at Texas Wesleyan. When we got to Texas Wesleyan, like, hey, we together now. We just got to take over. That's what we did.
You definitely did. That's for sure. So, you're a football player first, but during a previous interview with Draft Diamonds, you said given the chance, you would start a record label for all the talent in your city. Can you speak on what got you that deeply involved with music and how it's affected your life outside of football?
So my older brother, he's a rapper, and I was always in computer tech, video games. So help him save money. I got into actually becoming his audio engineer, and from there I gained actually rapping and liking the music. So when I jumped into it, I couldn't look back. I just fell in love with it, and then ended up becoming that guy in the city. So I use my music to help influence others, and I was kind of big in the streets at the same time, so I had to find a way out of it without, tarnishing my name. So I use music to get out of it, and then my city itself full of talent. Like it's a small city of like 25,000, and with all the talent they have, it's not really noticed. So I felt as if I make it to a high level in football, maybe I could come back and bring some of that talent with me. You know,
Absolutely. Definitely makes sense. I mean, you always want to bring the people you grew up with you to the heights that you reach, right? I mean, I'm definitely a firm believer in that. I'm actually kind of working on bringing some people on the channel here, hopefully here soon. I noticed your degree was actually in liberal arts, and you are quite the artist outside of football, producing music, videos, and doing graphic design. Did your love for music lead you to pursue this degree, or was it something else entirely?
To be honest, coming out of JUCO, it was just get out. Get out the easiest way, fastest way. Make sure I'm eligible once I leave the JUCO. So liberal arts was the way. And when I got to Texas-Wesleyan, I just wanted to know football. It's a prestigious school in the nation in business, and did it. Got the degree, and everything is going up from here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I definitely understand trying to get it, make it from the JUCO level. I mean, pretty much take the offers that come at that point, right?
Yeah.
Off camera, we spoke about some of the sacrifices you have made to focus on football as your career. You can give as much or as little detail as you would like here, because I don't want to, give any info that you're not comfortable telling people. But what have you sacrificed outside of the game to put yourself in the position you are in today?
I kind of sacrificed everything. When I first left for college, my daughter was being born, so I only had like 4 months with her before leaving sport day, and I kind of missed that part. And then during football season, they'll come up there to Minnesota a few times. Um, I only got to see a few, and then I moved them up there. But the biggest sacrifice I made was going to Trinity Valley and getting kicked off the team. That kind of sparked me up to become a different person. And without my girlfriend, I probably wouldn't be able to do none of this. She helped me out the whole way. And like just not doing the right thing at Trinity Valley kind of mess up, well, not messed up, but gave me a long route to get where I'm at today. Because the rule book for eligibility, I was playing basketball at Trinity Valley and then finished my classes. So once I got to Minnesota, um, I had hella D1 offers. My first offer came from Kansas University freshman year, but I couldn't do it because I needed a waiver to extend my eligibility for Division One. Come my sophomore year, I was going to sign with UL Lafayette. Ended up pulling a scholarship on signing day, and that's what made me sign with Central Oklahoma. And it's just these sacrifices is like you just diving in. You don't know where you're gonna go for business. Just dive in. And once you think just go with the road. But big.
Absolutely. I think that's one thing that people don't give football players in general credit for. This is 100% a leap of faith, and you're basically jumping in on the confidence of your abilities and what you've done in the past and hoping that people notice you for who you are. And a lot of times, a side that a lot of people don't really speak about is the politics behind this. If you make one mistake in your past, it might be held against you for the rest of your life. And it is totally ridiculous how people are treated in your line of work. As far as that goes. I spoke with Cam about that before, and he made some mistakes that I think are still held against him to this day, and it's not right. We all made mistakes when we were kids, except the difference is you guys had a platform and were in front of an audience, and the rest of us weren't. So we got to live with our mistakes and move on from them and make ourselves better people without people throwing that in our face repeatedly. And I think it's a hard life to live for a young man, that when everybody's looking at you and pointing out your mistakes every time you make one. So you actually spent time with multiple colleges, as you mentioned. From 2016 to 2018, you were with Northland, correct? And then a technical institute, and then that also had football and basketball, like you alluded to. You played both sports. What intrigued me is that you were used as a strong safety and an outside linebacker with them at the NFL level. This is something that's starting to become a trend, obviously, where smaller linebackers or bigger safeties are used for their abilities and coverage on tight ends, running backs, stuff like that. Do you believe playing in the box as almost an extra linebacker is something you feel you can still do at a high level?
Um, it's kind of funny because when I first got to Minnesota and Georgia, the head coach, he was like, "Hey, you're going pro at outside linebacker, right?" I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "Why you say that?" He was like, "Just naturally in you." And only reason why I played the linebacker position, we was on a road to, bowl game, winning the championship, and we lost all our linebackers. So he's just like, "Hey, play linebacker for me?" Sure. Um, I kind of like it. Um, you just get to hit. You can cover a little bit, go downfield, but hit the hitting part, that's what intrigued me because I was a hard hitting safety. Um, once I got to the Division II level, the coaches they didn't know what I wanted to play, uh, DB or linebacker, and they always would be like, "Hey, play linebacker." They like that market. So every school I've been to, utilize the box, outside the box, special teams. Um, I feel at the NFL level, any level, I can play at a high speed in the box easily because I've been doing it 5 years now.
Definitely makes sense. Let's just say your affinity for hitting people definitely shows up on your highlights. I've seen you lay some dudes out, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I see why he was playing linebacker for a little while there. It definitely makes sense, which I'll show some highlights here in a bit. Um, Following this time, you landed with East Coast Central. What position did they have you play in their scheme, and how was it different from the scheme that you ran at Northland?
When I got to East Central, so I got there as a free safety, went through fall camp, everything well, but the coaches encouraged me. They should going through the motion. They ended up needing another outside linebacker. Outside linebacker got hurt, so coaches like, "Hey, you play this one game here, you'll, you'll just move you back." Played the one game I started. Did pretty well. In their situation, it was like a 3-4, so it was an outside linebacker, but it's stand up DN type. And at the time, I was like 6'2", 215. I was kind of little compared to going against a 6'5" tackle, 300 pounds every play. But I did pretty good. Uh, but after that, coaches and I and it ended up, leaving the team for a while and ended up coming to Texas-Wesleyan. It just wasn't fitting in the moment. I had a few teams come up to school, check me out at safety, few NFL teams, and I was doing my thing, and just coaching and I wasn't on the same page, so I had to just leave that out and for
Gotcha, gotcha. And then when you moved on to Texas Wesleyan, you played primarily cornerback again, correct? So, if you had to pick one of these different positions that you've played on defense, which would it be, and which do you think suits your talent level and skill set the best?
it's pretty tough. But I was safety because a safety does a little bit of everything. You get down in the box, cover the slot guy, you cover the tight end. Um, certain packages you might move the corner over, and you still might be on the island for the receiver. Could go on blitz. Um, you just like you echo everything. You just the head guy out there. But most likely, I would probably like stay over the top, try to cover ground, gain ground, hash to hash, sideline to sideline if I can, and then secondary probably strong safety, get in the box, kind of move around, get in there, get a little dirty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if it wasn't just a defensive position, what would you play on offense?
Receiver.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. You got the size and the speed to play receiver for sure. Moving on, if let's see, if you were a defensive coordinator tasked with putting you as a player in the best position to succeed, how would you be used, and what kind of scheme would you choose?
Um, 4-2-5 will be the scheme for sure. I'll probably be used as like a rover safety, star safety. Um, being I can blitz, cover the slot guy. I could be man on man with the slot guy. Um, you know, mess around the defenses, could run a zone behind, but have me locked up on that one guy. Um, to put me in the best position, that would be it because how aggressive I am. I could be overly aggressive with help over the top. Um,
Makes perfect sense.
um, I feel, I think that would just be the perfect position for me.
Definitely makes sense to me. I mean, with your size and your speed, like I said, and your versatility to cover a receiver or a tight end or running back or blitz the passer, whatever it is, moving you around, I think, is the best possible plan at the next level. And I honestly think that's what NFL teams are going to see you as a guy that can come in, play some linebacker, play some safety, play some slot corner, play some outside corner, and kind of move you around, wherever the play suits you best on a given play rather than trying to match you up one-on-one with a specific receiver or something like that. um, Although I am kind of surprised to hear you say that answer specifically. I was actually kind of expecting to hear you say that you would like to be outside, lined up one-on-one on the best receiver. But I like your answer because it's real. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way you're going to be successful at the next level is moving around and using your strengths to the best of your abilities. But moving on, you were able to post a 4.5740, 39-inch vertical. You squat 410 pounds and bench 260, all of which are very respectable numbers for an NFL DB. How do you approach your training for the pro day with TCU? And is this where these numbers came from, or was this earlier in your career?
This was actually coming out of high school. Those numbers.
Really? Wow.
I was,
That's crazy. So
uh,
it's safe to say that you'd probably be posting better days here, or better numbers here shortly at your pro day.
I can't say that neither, but um, my numbers be everywhere. So coming out of high school, it was that. Then I did a mock pro day at North Dakota. When I was in Minnesota, I ran a 4.4. Um, and now training, training kind of is up and down right now, and I'll say 4.5 ish again right now. Only because technique. I wasn't a big track guy. I was a jumper mostly. Wasn't a big track guy, but I should have some decent numbers come TCU for sure. Turn some heads.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not at all worried about that. Like I said, teams that are looking at you, they know what you're capable of, and they also know that your speed isn't necessarily the strength of your game. It's the way you hit, the way you tackle, your versatility, like we mentioned before. So I think 40-yard dash will also obviously be key. They always look at that, but I don't think it's going to be a make or break type thing either. Your play shows up on the field, and that's what's important. Following your graduation, you missed the deadline to apply for consideration with the USFL, but still have an opportunity to hear your name called in the 2022 drafts by the CFL or NFL, which are both quickly approaching. In your dream scenario, what do you hope ultimately happens with these two drafts?
Dream scenario. I really. So after missing the USFL draft, I was like, hey, that could have been a way to skip pro day, and then try to get straight to the NFL from there. But dream scenario, I'm thinking, hey, I get the call the day after the last day. I get a free agent contract or an invite to a mini camp. Anything that I can get, I'm gonna make the best out of it. Out of it. So like CFL might draft me maybe. But if I get the free agent call, I'll take that and run with it. I feel like once I'm in camp, they're gonna like me anyway. So I just need to get there. I need the opportunity. Once I get the opportunity, there's no looking back.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically the big part of football. I mean, guys like you, it's all based off their on-field play. So yeah, you get an opportunity. I really think you're going to be sticking in whatever league gives you that chance, whether it's NFL, CFL, USFL. Although I do think you're going to be on our roster in 2022. And I honestly, after watching all your highlights last night, I really think it's going to be in the NFL. But either way, CFL, NFL, I'm looking forward to you playing at the professional level for sure. Like I said, I've been a huge fan of versatility my entire 20 years of watching football, and I've always had an affinity for guys like you that can go play every position in the secondary, drop down, play linebacker and stuff like that. I mean, I think everybody can speak with me when they've played Madden and had a guy like you that can kind of move all over the field, and it's really fun to play around with and see what you can do and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see at the next level. If you could pick one strength from your game to highlight to teams and one perceived weakness that you are working on heavily, what would they be and why?
My strength would be my aggressiveness. I'm really aggressive. I flip linemen. I try to destroy quarterbacks. Receivers, my jam is real crazy. Um, mm, then my weakness would probably be my hips, maybe. Um, I just started like force stretching and getting them right. I've gotten better with the hip mobility, but I think that would be my weakness. So I've gotten it better over time.
Definitely makes sense. Um, yeah, the only reason I ask is because I wanted you to highlight something teams might be looking at and see as a perceived weakness, and then you could tell them like, look, I've been working on this dramatically recently, so it makes perfect sense. What are your goals for the short-term and long-term future of your football career and outside of football?
So long term, I want to be able to make a 53 man roster. That's long term for sure. Because coming from a small school, that's really hard and it's a big accomplishment. Short term, I'm thinking about what can I do now to help others. And it's like once I get there, what can I do to help the next guy try to get there, or not to give up, or not to, hey, it's not for me. I'm gonna hang it up. You have to look at other reasons to go. So like getting your degree, um, being a role model for a younger brother, uh, or younger sister, because they watching and they could be playing a different sport, or they could put it towards something else. And another long term thing I want to do is with everything I receive from the NFL, knowledge, meeting people, the money. I'm a director, so I want to create a business, a business format that can help me gain more attention to my business that I'm running right now.
Makes perfect sense. So when we spoke off screen, you mentioned you do so many things outside of football, including tattoos. How did you get into tattooing specifically?
Ah, so I get this little trend from my mom and dad. They're both some hustlers, so I was like, hey, I want to make money, and I picked up one of my homies. He's really really good at tattooing. His name be like Kamani, and once he started to, I think you should tattoo because I was a pretty good drawer and I had an artistic mind. So once I ordered the equipment, I was like, hey, let me just start practicing on myself. Started practicing, started gaining clients because I like what I was doing on myself. So went from there and opened up the shop and just went from there and just kept going. Got better and then went to JUCO, tatted all the athletes. Southern Miss, I tatted all the athletes. Everywhere I went, I ended up having a few customers tattooing them too. But it was really just the artistic mindset that I had and just kept going with it. I don't want to pay for tattoos neither, so I just started tatting my whole body up.
I definitely don't blame you there. They get expensive quick, that's for sure. Uh, I've only got a few of them for that reason, and I'm not brave enough to start tattooing myself. That's for sure. I am not an artist, but yeah, more power to you, man. I can't believe like you would actually try and learn and teach yourself on yourself. That's pretty brave. That's for sure. So you actually told me that you had to shut down your shop. Is there any plans to reopen this after your career?
I kind of fell in love with the camera, and I don't think I'll be opening it back up. The camera is like my getaway now. I've met so many people using the camera. Uh, I've made so much money using that camera for sure. Just being behind the computer also and just get my mind like running. Like sometimes I'll be up to like 5 a.m. knowing I got 7 a.m. workouts. So I just be going. I love it.
I can definitely see that. I mean, I never had a background in any of this before this, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. I've learned a lot so far. So if you got any tips, man, I'm always all ears because I've got a lot to learn still. Like I said, I just started doing this all about 3-4 months ago, and um, the editing part, there's a lot of work that comes into that, and I'm definitely learning all of that from the ground up. So yeah, I'm all ears. If you got any tips, man, I mean, you got my Twitter, so definitely hit me up with any advice I can get from you. I'll take it.
Big
Um,
that laptop or that computer you use, I have to spend some money on it.
yeah, that's for sure. I definitely will be upgrading this one that I'm using at some point. I would like to get a mic and a couple other things eventually. But with time, we're growing at baby steps, one step at a time. But on a totally different subject, we spoke about this off screen. How do you feel about another spring football league trying to pop up in 2022? Major League Football, for those who haven't heard, unveiled jerseys this season and actually just announced Jerry Glanville as their first head coach. This is a league that me and you spoke off screen, and a lot of guys that are at your level are trying to make the professional game. They've never even heard of this league. So, what's your opinion on the league? How do you expect them to be successful when many guys that are in your position don't even know who they are or when they're going to launch?
Um, my first time hearing about it was with you, but I had looked into it, and it's pretty good that they're starting so many leagues up. Like because guys like me coming out of small school, it gives you a platform to play at a high level while also being watched by other higher levels of football leagues. And uh, I mean, I went and look it up a little bit, and they're trying to work as hard as the USFL, the XFL. It just I feel the money situation is kind of like slowing them down a little bit, you know. But other than that, I think they're doing a pretty good job. After I went and look them up a little bit, um, I see them. I just don't see them starting this spring though. I can see them starting 2023, but this spring almost, coming up right now, and yeah, it's about to be summer.
Exactly. For those of you that don't know, if you're watching this, like I mentioned before, Major League Football, I think, has been trying to launch since like 2016, and they've actually announced several first season launches over their stretch of time, but they've never actually been able to get one off the ground. And this year is the first year that they've unveiled jerseys, team names, and a coach. So they're making progress in the right direction, but definitely I'm with you when you say that it's going to be a really hard thing to launch a spring league when we're this late into spring already. I mean, it's March. So you've got what, April, May, and then spring's over and we're in summer. So I mean, yeah, I definitely don't know how they're going to be able to manage this year. Although I would love to see it. Like you said, more football is always good football, and the more leagues that are out there for you guys to play and put your skills on display is always a good thing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a nerd. I'll watch every league that they come out. I mean, indoor football, arena football, whatever it is, I love it. I love football in general, so I'm a fan, and it'll be interesting to see who else they tab as coaches with a guy like Glanville on staff. Um, and definitely think they're trying to compete with the USFL and the XFL in the next couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I'm going to leave you with one last question. I'm fast forward 20 years in the future. Where do you see yourself being in life, and what do you see yourself doing for a career at this point? Is it coaching, arts related, or is it, like you mentioned, a videographer?
Next 20 years, I see myself sitting in my director's chair, filming a movie. Um, that's gonna be one of my goals is write, direct, and produce the movie. see it happen in the next 20 years.
Next 3 years.
Next 20 years.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said next 3 years. I was like, man, I thought you were kind of putting that stuff to the side for football. But I was just about to ask if you have any plans of doing any of this during your career.
During the football career, yes, sir. I've met a couple guys that actually still into music that play football, professional football, and utilizing my name, I could use my camera while being there. I could do like workout videos. If they want to shoot a music video, I could shoot the music videos. I do a little YouTubing, TikToking while we in the locker room, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, not that I'm anybody famous or anything, but you are always welcome to come back on here and talk to me or shoot, if you even wanted solo videos, that would be awesome. But basically, yeah, man, I definitely think you're going to be successful at whatever you choose to do at the next level or outside of football entirely. I mean, you got the right mentality. I mean, we've talked quite a bit off camera, and I would like to think I have a good feel for who you are as a person, and you definitely seem like you're the type of guy that's driven to succeed no matter what stands in your way. So I'm going to go ahead and let you get off to whatever you got else going on today, and I really appreciate you hopping on here. I would love to have you on again in the future, hopefully after the draft, and we see where you land and you settle in. But like I always tell everybody, I know you guys are going to be super, super busy once you get in camp, so just keep me in mind, man. Hit me up when you're free, and like I said, I would love to have you on again, and I look forward to seeing where you land. I really think you got a future at the NFL level, but regardless, you'll be playing professional football somewhere for sure. Definitely. Well, once again, like I said, thanks for coming on, and have a good rest of your day, man.
Thank you. You too.
Have a good one. All right, guys, that was Damian Francis. A true weapon in the secondary that can physically match up with larger receivers and tight ends, bigger backs, while also still moving all over the defense to suit the needs of the scheme. Players like him are at a premium in the NFL and CFL at this point, and I, for one, don't believe this trend is going to end anytime soon. With faster and larger receivers and tight ends and running backs coming into the league the way they are, it's only going to get to be more of a trend going forward that we are looking for 6'2", 6'3" cornerbacks and safeties trying to cover 6'6" and 6'7" tight ends that run 4.5. Damian Francis is the type of guy that teams are seeking out specifically for this role because of the different roles that he's played at the collegiate level. I mean, he's played linebacker, strong safety, free safety, cornerback, slot. It doesn't matter. He's basically played everything in the back seven that you can't. And I honestly think that due to this and his versatility and what he's put on tape over the years, he's going to find himself successful. I want to take this opportunity to play a couple of his highlights. Hopefully you enjoy it because I certainly did. He is... He's definitely the type of guy that has a lot of talent and versatility to play just about everywhere on a defense.
Yeah. Just thinking about the future, you know? Thinking about how I'm going to look at now, years from now. So weird thoughts. Just feeling the vibes. From Colorado to Florida, Gemini and static. Just look at my eyes as I stare at the face. Contemplating my life and there that I waste. My life is a walk on this familiar place. I've been there before when I walk with the kings. Like Old Testaments, I die for this game. But even with change, I still do the same. Spit up with the names and fuck to the fame. Give bits of the fortune, I fight for the fame. But the biggest disappointment in your life so far is when you work so hard, counting your tips from the bar. Just to remember that you're 3 months late on your car. And the only way to make it is by catching those stars.